So I just wanted to first start off by telling a story, and I might have told you this before, but I thought I would just reiterate. So in 2019, I taught a workshop for a school district in Colorado. And the teachers and principals, they asked me, they said, how should we respond to smartphones? What do we do about the issue of students and smartphones? And this was 2019, and I thought to myself, okay, they're asking this question 13 years too late. They should have been asking this question in 2006. I was in the Army in 2006, and the Army was issuing Blackberries to soldiers, and I had a Blackberry. And people in the Army would call them crackberries because they were addictive. So if adults are having addiction issues with Blackberries in 2006, what happens when you give a device, an iPhone, right, or an Android-based phone, to a 12-year-old, a device that is 1,000 times more capable than a BlackBerry? What happens when you give a device that is 1,000 times more capable to a 12-year-old or to a 13-year-old? Or what happens when you give that device to the vast majority of the American population, if BlackBerries are already creating addiction issues? And it's not just the addiction issues. When you look at the assault on the Capitol building, or the conspiracy theories, or you look at any of the problems in the news that keep people up at night, you see social media, the internet, how it's created this kind of information ecosphere where false information can travel, fake news, where people can become radicalized. And so all of the problems we're seeing, even how people become mass shooters in the modern world, or how people are recruited to extremist groups, smartphones, social media are creating a new kind of landscape for that. And what if we would have been proactive and got ahead of the problem rather than reactive and responding to the problem 13 years too late? So one reason why this is relevant is because all of these issues, like really serious issues, technology is a huge factor. And with virtual reality, augmented reality, this technology is going to replace smartphones. It's going to replace traditional computing as we know it. And Apple, Facebook, all these companies are planning on phasing out smartphones and beginning that transition in the 2020s. So if smartphones and social media as we know today are an issue, what happens when you replace smartphones with VR, AR, devices that are way more powerful than smartphones ever were? And before I show you my avatar, I just want to quickly explain what an avatar is. So an avatar is how you represent yourself in VR, in XR. So if you think about Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, people represent themselves with a profile photo, a square, two-dimensional image that represents them. But in VR and XR, you represent yourself with an avatar, which is an embodiment of you, where you have a body that can move around. And to quickly explain where this technology is going in the next few years, Facebook has already developed avatar technology where you can look exactly like yourself. Facebook has not yet released this to the public, but if I had access to Facebook's prototype avatar technology, I could look exactly like myself, and you would not know if you were seeing a video of me or if you were seeing an avatar representing me. And Apple, Microsoft, many other companies are working on developing photorealistic avatars that look exactly like us. Lifelike avatars. So I don't look exactly like myself yet, but I will in a couple of years. And if I were doing this presentation for you a couple of years from now, I would be able to look exactly like myself. My current avatar, the imagery is very symbolic, very metaphorical, and I can explain the symbolism and the metaphors later on. So here is my current avatar, and this is my body. These are my legs, these are my arms, this is my torso, these are my hands. I have some limited finger tracking. And right now I'm walking around my living room, and you can see that my hair moves. You can see that my robe moves. And I am walking around my living room right now, but I no longer see my living room. I see this virtual world. And when I look down, I no longer see my physical body, I see this avatar body. In this world that I'm in, this is nothing like a Zoom background. A Zoom background is a two-dimensional flat image. This is a three-dimensional world that I can journey through, that I can explore, and I can take people on this journey with me. And it's a three-dimensional world. Here's a classroom, for example, where I teach workshops from, and I will take you into that classroom and talk more about this technology in a few moments. So this is a world where I can see and I can hear, and there's even some limited touch sensation. And it feels like I am in another place, and now this is the body that I have. So to illustrate this more clearly, I can show you what I am seeing through my eyes. So I can show you what I am seeing right now through my eyes. So this is what I'm seeing through my eyes. I'm looking around. There's a classroom I just pointed out. I'm looking around this rotunda. I'm looking at the ceiling of the rotunda. Here's my hands. Here are my arms. Here are my fingers. Here's my left leg. Here's my right leg. And I'm actually using my legs when I do that. So now I'm going to bring back the camera. So here's a menu, and I have a laser pointer emanating from my hand. And I'm going to bring back the camera. And now I have this floating camera that can follow me wherever I go. And when I do workshops, I will use this camera to take the participants on a journey and to be able to show different ideas in metaphorical form. And when I do workshops, I can cast into Zoom and I can make Zoom think that this floating camera is my webcam. So I can cast into Zoom and make Zoom think that this is my webcam, or I can be with people in this virtual world, in this VR XR world. And I'll go into this classroom and I'll talk more about how that works. So I'm in a classroom now, and you can already see how different this is from Zoom, because Zoom has this flat Brady Bunch view. But here, you feel like you are in a place, and there could be people in these chairs, and we could be learning together in a shared space, and it really makes you think that you are in a place with other people. Now, in addition to that, we will be able to rapidly and dramatically escalate peace literacy in terms of how we can scale peace literacy and how we can make the teachings even more accessible and effective. And I can explain that briefly. So in 2019, I did 33 round-trip flights. It took most of the year, and I've been trying to find a way to do workshops and meet the demands of peace literacy that is better for the environment, because doing 33 round-trip flights is not sustainable for the environment. And when I do a workshop and I travel, I spend 2 or 3 days flying, and I go to a city, and the only people who can attend that workshop are people who live maybe an hour or two from where I'm doing the workshop. And if I do a workshop and I allow people from all over the world to attend, they have to buy a plane ticket, they have to pay for lodging. It could easily be over $1,000 in terms of costs. But doing a workshop in this shared space, especially in a couple of years when I can look exactly like myself, it becomes far more accessible to people. People could attend from anywhere in the world, and the cost is much, much lower. They don't have to buy a plane ticket. They don't have to pay for lodging, and it's much better for the environment. So it's far more accessible, it's much lower cost, and it's far better for the environment. Now, not only will this technology make the train-the-trainer workshops and the workshops for educators more accessible and affordable and also better for the environment, but most importantly, I can teach more effectively here because I can create metaphors and images and allegories, seemingly magical metaphors and allegories that turn the abstract ideas into tangible things that can be seen and heard and even touched. So I can do things in VR, in XR, in regard to teaching that I cannot do in the physical world. So here's the world that I was just in. And again, you can see the beach and the water and the trees. And again, this is metaphor. So I'm going to make my avatar appear. So here's my avatar. And I'm going to walk through this doorway. And now you can see color returns to the world. And it changes how we perceive the world and how we can also perceive other people.